Welcome to the Dr. Nurse Paul Show, hosted by Aspire RN and Dr. Paul. You are watching the USA Nurse Series. Dr. Nurse Paul is an NCLEX expert, having trained and mentored thousands of international nurses past the NCLEX RN for over a decade. He graduated with a Doctor of Nursing Practice in Texas Christian University. He is a registered nurse, an advanced practice registered nurse, and a certified family nurse practitioner. He also has completed a Certificate for Nurse Educator postgraduate course. Aside from teaching, he has extensive clinical experience in emergency and family medicine. He has over 15 years of combined clinical and academic healthcare experience. Dr. Nurse Paul is an immigrant from the Philippines. He is currently based in Houston, Texas, where he operates his business, Dr. Nurse Paul, and Aspire RN NCLEX Prep. He loves to share his life story of how he overcame his challenges to reach his dreams. He is passionate in helping nurses realize the American dream. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Nurse Paul.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. Today, we're going to talk about education and career progression in the United States. All right, thank you guys for joining this show. If you are joining me today, can you guys put in the comment section your name and your location? I'm streaming live in Houston, Texas, and it's 8:04 a.m. here in my part of the world, and I'm having my coffee right now. This is going to be an interesting topic today. This is one of the many questions I get in social media and in forums that I'm a member and an admin of. And basically today I'm going to talk about education and career pathways options for the United States. Back when I posted about my doctorate degree, I got a lot of questions about how to get the doctorate degree. What do I do with my master's? So we're going to talk about that today. But if you're joining me, please join me in the comment section right now. Tell me your location and your name. All right. So I know we're streaming live in 4 channels right now in my Facebook page, Dr. Nurse Paul in Facebook, and in Aspire RN page, which is my NCLEX company. I'm also streaming live in Lefora, Filipino Nurses to US, which is the Facebook group that I'm an admin of, and also in my YouTube channel. All right, so please join me in the comment section. I can see y'all's comments. So let me know where you guys are located. And if you guys have questions today, we're going to talk about that today, all right? So something to do with career and education. I do not have any special guest today because I want to be able to discuss this topic myself. But if you guys have not watched me in the past, this is the USA Nurse Series, and we do this every second and fourth Saturday of the month. All right. And in the past, we talked about so many things. All right. We talked about dissecting contracts and immigration policies and challenges and opportunities for nurses in the U.S., how NCLEX can help you come to the U.S. as an immigrant nurse. And we've also talked about culture shock and work fatigue, all right? And so many other things. So if you guys have not watched one of my shows or you've not watched one of my past episodes, please do log on in YouTube. Find the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. I have a huge playlist there under USA Nurse Series, and you're going to see all the episodes that I did, all right? And I believe today is I forgot what episode we're in. I'm still a little sleepy, I'd say. But this is our episode 4 of season 2 of the USA Nurse Series, Living the American Dream. We have Michael Angelo joining us today from Bohol, Philippines. Hi, Michelangelo. And we have Dima from South Africa. Thank you, Dima, for joining me. Thank you for watching my shows. All right. And I appreciate that you guys are joining me from all corners of the world. And it was my intention when I built this show, it was really my intention to share my knowledge and expertise and also bring in people that could help us dissect information for us. I wish we had shows like this when I was an immigrant nurse in the US. But so this is what I'm doing because I know a lot of nurses would benefit from shows like this. All right. So please share this show and tag your friends. I know we can reach a lot of nurses. Even if I finish the show days later, weeks later, months later, I would still get responses from those videos. So thank you for continuing to support us, support me and my team. And we have Mai Chi, and she is in Thailand. She's a teacher. Thank you for joining us today, Mai Chi. And we have Lee coming in from Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, one of the countries that I want to go to here in Central America. All right, very, very nice country. Thank you for joining us today, Antoinette, one of the people that always watch my show. Hi, Antoinette. Thank you for joining me from the Middle East. Cindy from Saudi Arabia. Catherine is joining us in YouTube and she's working in UAE. We have another user from UK. So we're all over the world today. We have people from Europe, from Middle East, from the African region, South American region, North American region, and of course Asia. So we're covering 5 continents today. One user is from UK, London, and Rayana said, "Hi, Dr. Nurse Paul." Fia Max says, "Hi, Dr. Nurse Paul." Hello. And Remy said she's watching from Dubai. Thank you guys for joining. If you guys can do me please a favor, share this to your pages and tag your friends so we can talk about, and I mean we can bring them in and help them out with information that they might need in the future, or that might help them decide if they really want to be an immigrant nurse in the United States. All right, so a little background about myself for those that have watched my show the first time. My name is Paul. And social media, my name is Dr. Nurse Paul, DNP. That's also my title as a nurse. I'm an immigrant nurse here in the United States. I'm already a US citizen. I've been here for 6 years. And one of my advocacies, so I do have an NCLEX company. I'm a next-gen NCLEX expert. I do my classes under my own company, AspireRN.com. You can see that in my social media pages. And thank you to my Aspire RN team for helping me out put up this show. They are my host for today. And aside from that, one of my advocacies is to put up shows like this for information sessions for nurses. Like I said earlier, I wish we had shows like this when I was a new immigrant nurse. But there was not a lot of resources back then. So I volunteered myself as an admin to one of the biggest immigrant nursing groups in Facebook, Lefora Nurses to USA. Anyone here member of Lefora? We already have 183,500 members to date. And when I became an admin, there were about 30 to 40,000. When I joined that group, there were about 4 or 5,000. It keeps growing by the minute. And I was like, you know what? I could serve more people and I could make use of my time very well and productively if I could just put in a show and they can join me in the show instead of just replying to one people at a time. And it will limit my time to really reach out more people. So by doing shows like this, I'm able to reach more people. I'm able to reach you and your friends and people who follow me in social media to do information sessions where I could share my expertise or other people's expertise, my friends and experts from different fields of nursing or related industries that could give us the information that we need, that you guys need eventually when you move here to the United States as an immigrant nurse. And we've covered plenty of stuff already. In the past shows this year in season 2, we've been talking about living the American dream. We talked about the first 3 months in the USA. We talked about culture shock and work fatigue. We talked about different types of contracts, different types of jobs as a nurse. What are we going to look for as a nurse? And today, one of the things that I would love to really talk about, I was contemplating of bringing in another speaker, but I feel like I want to talk about this topic myself. All right. So I want to talk about this thing myself because this is one of my favorite topics. And a lot of people are asking me this question anyway. So I would want to be able to answer this myself. And you guys, the comment section is open. All right. I can see all comment section from all the 4 channels that I'm streaming live into. And I can answer your questions today. So please make sure that you get your questions ready. All right. And thank you guys. We have more people coming in. Thank you, Romeo, for joining us from North Dakota. Wow, there's a winter storm there. I hope you're doing okay. All right. And please bundle up and stay warm. We also have Mark joining us today from Palawan, one of my favorite island destinations in the Philippines. And we also have Rukia joining us from Taif, Saudi Arabia, and Myla joining us from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And thank you guys for joining the Dr. Paul show. We're about to start today. We're going to talk about U.S. education and career pathways. Okay. So now let's continue. Please share this to your pages and tag your friends. Okay. So we can reach more nurses out today. And thank you for everyone that's joining us today. Right now it's 8 a.m. In the United States in Central U.S. time. So I know we have varying time. We have someone from Edinburgh, Texas. Hold on, I cannot see who this is. Let me open Lefora because you might be joining from Lefora. And I would not be able to see your name. It will show to me as Facebook user like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open that stream live from Lefora. Oh, her name is Noemi. Noemi M. Lantrio. Hey Noemi, just quick um FYI, I started my career in the United States in Edinburgh, Texas. So enjoy Edinburgh. Lots of delicious tacos. Let me know if you guys have questions of where to go, what to do on your free time. I love Edinburgh. I started there, Edinburgh, McAllen, and I worked there for 3 years, and I love that area. That's where I learned my Spanish, and I loved working there. Very nice community, lots of Filipino people, lots of really nice and warm Hispanic people who treated me like family. We have someone watching from Saudi Arabia. Evangeline, thank you. I'm looking at another screen right here on my side. Kenya Red is watching us from is this Bangkok, Thailand? Yeah, Bangkok, Thailand. Thank you for watching us from Thailand. All right. Without further ado, we're going to talk about education and career pathway. Again, thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul Show USA Nurse Series, Living the American Dream. This is season 2, episode 4, education and career progression in the United States. Okay. And for today, we're going to talk about education first. All right. So for education, let me zoom that in. Okay. We have 2 major advanced educational degrees for nurses. This is either master's degree track or a doctorate degree track. Now, some people would prefer to do master's. Some people would prefer to do doctorate. Let's talk about the difference first, all right? And why is it important to have advanced degree? As you all know, I have my master's degree. I took my bachelor's and master's degree in the Philippines. I came over to the United States with one main purpose, which is to get my doctorate degree here because I know the level of education in the Philippines, it can only offer me so much. I want to be educated in the American system. If I want to be able to help nurses pass their NCLEX, get acclimated with the nursing setup, clinical setup here in the United States, I wanted to be able to have an advanced degree, a terminal degree that just does that, all right? So anyway, without further ado, let's talk about master's and doctorate first. According to AACN, American Association of Colleges of Nursing, right? Master's degree prepares a nurse for an advanced role, a specialized role. So there are specialty roles, right? We call them Masters of Science in Nursing, MSN. And MSN is, I know in the Philippines, my master's degree is MAN, Masters of Arts in Nursing. If you guys have that, the main difference between a Master's of Science in Nursing and Master of Arts in Nursing is that arts or Master of Arts in Nursing, MAN, is thesis or research based. So that's why my master's degree is research based. But here in the United States, the master's degree are science in nursing, which means it's practice based, all right, or specialty role based, which means if you take an MSN, there is an attachment to your degree of what population or specialty role you are practicing. Because if you are a nurse, an RN, you do your bachelor's or associate degree, you are already should be at the entry level to competitive level of being a nurse. Eventually, you want to move in to become an expert nurse based on Patricia Benner's level of nursing, right? So after competitive, you go to proficient and master's level. At the proficient and master's level, you want to be doing master's degree because at one point, as a nurse, you would have reached the maximum. The what's this? The lid. I call it the lid, like the top. So you've already been practicing as a nurse for 10, 15 years. You've been doing the same thing, same scope of practice, same tasks every day, same role every day. So there's no more left to do other than keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. Now, for some people, they want that. But for other people, there are these people that want to do more, that want to learn more, that want to advance further. So master's degree is your option. All right. So again, in the States, we have MSN, Masters of Science in Nursing. It's non-thesis based. It's practice based. But then again, there's a requirement for you guys to like do something before you finish your master's degree, which is like a capstone project or a quality improvement project, just like what we do in doctor of nursing practice, right? And then, of course, the other option is do doctorate. Now, they say after your bachelor's degree, you can take master's. You cannot do your master's without your bachelor's degree. So, main issue here in the United States because some of the nurses do not have bachelor's degree; they have associate degree, and they're able to practice as a nurse, which is okay. But before they could do the master's degree or doctorate degree, they have to have a bachelor's degree first. All right. Now, before the idea is before you do your doctorate, you do your master's first and then you do your doctorate. But that's not the thing now. Here in the US, there are programs that bridge you from bachelor's degree directly to doctorate degree. So there's no need to do master's. You can bridge directly to a doctorate degree. Now, doctorate degree is called the terminal degree, right? So when you say terminal degree, it's the end point of your academic degrees in a certain industry, in a certain specialty or a discipline. In nursing, if you have a doctorate in nursing, that's the terminal degree. You are practicing at this point at an expert level. So yes, you still have advanced and specialty roles just like the masters, but the doctorate degree prepares you as an expert in that specialty field that you're doing. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right, so hang on for a minute. But doctorate degree again prepares you as an expert nurse, as a thought leader, as a nursing leader, as a transformational nurse leader, all right, in your certain or designated specialty or population, all right? So it could be in leadership, it could be in research, it could be in specialized advanced nursing role. So what do you guys think? What are you gunning for? Master's degree or doctorate degree? Either or, because you can take master's degree here in the US and it's going to be like 2 years or 3 years, or straight to doctorate degree, which is 3 to 4 years, all right? I already had my master's degree in the Philippines. When I came over here, my option is to do directly to do the doctorate degree or do a postmaster certificate. But I didn't want to do postmaster certificate because I want to do an advanced role like what I am right now, family nurse practitioner. I could do that for a year or two. But I told myself if I'm going to do a postmaster certification for 1 to 2 years, I'm going to do the doctorate directly because that will make me do it for 3 to 4 years. That will save me plenty amount of time versus doing postmasters first and then doctorate first. I wanted to I wanted to have a doctorate degree anyway. So I went on to do doctorate myself. All right. And we have Cecil joining us from New York. Hi, Cecil. Thank you for joining us today. And please tag your friends, share this to your page. Thank you guys for joining us today. All right. And we have Sherry joining us from Riyadh, also in Saudi Arabia. We have a Facebook user from Davao. For whatever reason, my iPad is not letting me pull the live comments from from this page from Lefora. I don't know how to do it, but I could not pull it, but probably in my phone in a little bit, okay? And his master's degree taken from Europe, accredited in US, possible, yes. I was able to get my. It's not really called accredited. It's called I forgot what it's called. We do credential evaluation to match. All right. So if it's inline or matching the master's level in the US, it's not really accredited because accredited US, right? Which means if you're going in a US school, there must be an accreditation like CCRN or AACN, right? Very good. Thank you, Romeo, for helping me with the word. It's called equivalency. Thank you. So I thought I've made a blog post about this before, but that's and we follow different rules than other countries. But what we do is equivalency, which means if I took my master's in the Philippines, when I moved to the US, is it still considered master's degree? The answer is yes. Most of the countries, their master's degrees are equivalent to the United States master's degree. Now, there's many ways to do that to figure out yourself. You can enlist a credential evaluation company like CGFNS or Worldwide Education Services or IERF or ERES or Joseph and Silney. Please look at equivalency services for US, right? And there are accredited equivalency providers, right? With WES, I think I paid less than $200 back in 2017. That was my first order of business. As soon as I got here in the US, within the first month, I was already having my transcript evaluated, and I got the result in a month that says my master's degree is equivalent. This is even they even gave me my equivalent score. So I graduated in the Philippines with this score. I think my GPA is 3.96, which is equivalent to no, my GPA is somewhere around 1.17 or something. So they gave the equivalent here, which is 3.90 something. I forgot, but it's in the A level at 3.9 something. So you see what I mean? It's equivalent, right? But could I use it here? Yes, I could have used it to like take on nursing leadership roles, like clinical nursing supervisors or director of nursing. I could have done that. Could I use it for academic purposes to do like clinical instructorship or being an instructor in the hospital or in the schools, in universities, in colleges? Yes, I could, because they need at least an entry level job in the schools in the US as an instructor, as an educator, is master's degree. I could have used it, all right? But my goal was different. My goal was practice based because I want to be able to like impart in the sense that I want to be able to help immigrant nurses get acquainted with the different practices. So I want to be a practice expert in the nursing industry. That's why I have to do a different track. And I also want to do advanced roles because I already have my master's degree, but it's not an advanced role. The advanced roles here, or what we call advanced practice registered nurses, do not have any equivalent outside the US. All right. Now, Canada may have them, and there might be some level of equivalency, but you still need to do some of your clinical rotations. So I want to do an APRN role, which is a nurse practitioner role. I'm going to talk about it later. So that's why I had the option of doing postmaster certificate, which means it's just a certificate to like add up to your master's degree to make you like, take on that specialty role. Or you can do a doctorate degree directly. So I went for doctorate degree directly, which is a dual doctorate because it's already a DNP. It's also an APRN FNP course. And then I stayed one more year to do my clinical nurse educator. So, I mean, certified nurse educator. So now I graduated my doctorate degree with a doctorate degree, expert level in practice of nursing, with a family nurse practitioner APRN designation, certificate and license, and nurse educator. By staying 4 years, I was able to knock out three things that I wanted to be the track of my career as an educator, as a practice expert nurse, and that also helps me in my business as an NCLEX instructor, right? And Randolph, thank you for joining today. He's one of our students in Aspire RN. I was able to handle them the other day, and I still have a class with you guys. Thank you for joining my show today. And Lobel, thank you for joining. Thank you, guys. More people are coming in. Donna said she has a master's degree in healthcare management from Switzerland. Okay, Donna, the appropriateness might be there. It's equivalent, probably equivalent because it's Europe. It's mostly equivalent to the master's degree in the States, but um, it's the master's degree in healthcare management, but might be more in line with master's degree in healthcare administration here in the US. It might not be directly in line with the nursing master's degree. So if you want to do nursing advanced roles, you still might have to do postmaster certificate. All right. So that's it. Now, let's talk about the master's track. Here in the US, there are different master's track. You can do RN to MSN. RNs are, some of them are graduate of associate degree, right? So RN to MSN bridges them by giving them bachelor units first and then bridging them to MSN. So about 2 to 3 years, some of them 4 years. Or if you already are a BSN graduate, you can go straight to MSN. There's also what we call dual masters, where you go on a master's track and they're training you both as an MSN and also an MBA, Masters of Business Administration or Masters of Public Health. So, which is good for some people, like if they work for the government, they want to have MPH or MHA. I'm going to talk to you about that later. Or some of them are business oriented, where they want to put up a business or be a nurse executive operating at top level management like CEO or vice president for finance or vice president for clinical services. They would want to do an MBA on top of that. So they do dual. There's also what we call entry level MSNs. All right. This is one thing that you guys want to consider, especially if you guys have spouses that are not nurses but they have bachelor's degree. Did you know that there are MSNs here, Masters of Science in Nursing, that will allow or may allow other science courses graduates or bachelor's graduates to bridge to become an RN at the same time graduate with an MSN by taking their courses or doing more courses on top of it. So, for example, if you're BS biology, BS chemistry, BS something else, right? There are even people that I've heard that were BS accountancy or social work or political science that were able to enter MSN. Now, this is different from school to school. You have to work with your school first and find these programs. I do not know all the programs, but I will give you resources later, all right? So I know the usual questions that I get. But there are these types of MSNs where you don't have to be a nurse, right? But when you go into the course and you got accepted to the course, you might need to do some bachelor's units first to be able to sit for the NCLEX, and then you continue with your entry level MSN. So it's about 2 to 4 years because you have to take your NCLEX. Again, you're coming in as a non-RN, and I've seen people thrive here very, very good because some of them have already been, working for 20, 30 years in other industries and they just want to become a nurse, right? So that's entry level MSN. The other options for those people that already have master's degree outside the United States is to, again, take a postmaster's certificate, which means you don't have to go through all the master's degree. Again, you don't have to graduate with another master's degree because we only need one master's degree. Who needs 10 master's degrees or 10 doctorate degrees, right? So you only need one master's degree, but they're just going to put you in school, back to school to bridge that. That's called postmaster certificate. So you get a certificate, which means, okay, this nurse took an advanced role in the master's degree level, right, in the US. All right. So a lot of people have been able to do that. We have Christine de Liz Reyes here. Hello, Christine. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for this comment. I really can't see the comments. I have to refresh my okay. Okay. Let me see. Thank you. You have achieved a lot in 6 years in US. That's a true inspiration. Thank you. Guys, this is the thing, and I'd like to share this. When I came to the US, I said to myself, okay, game face on, which means, all right, I'm here. I'm here and I have plans and let me do it. In the first month upon arriving to the US, I started looking for school. On the second month, I've already emailed 10 schools to trim down my list to see which school would benefit me and would be in line with my goals and career and my timeline. And within 3 months to 4 months after coming here to the US, I came in March. At around July, August, September, I was already applying for school. October, I submitted my first application. Actually, retracted the other one because it's gonna start 1 year later. December that year, I already got my interview for TCU. January, I got my acceptance letter. May the next year, my first year in the United States, I already started my doctorate degree. I could have waited longer, but I have a timeline. And I'm a little hard on myself with things like this because I'm a very goal oriented person. I wake up every day thinking, what's my goal for today? What's my goal for this week? Right. So that's how I do it. But I mean, it does not have to be that way for other people. We all have our own timeline. Everything happens for a reason. If you got set back for a bit because of certain issues, or you have to sit down for a minute and you couldn't do your master's and doctorate degree, that's okay as well. All right. So don't worry about it. Just write down your goals and you're gonna get there. All right. Just keep working towards it. Now there are different MSN roles. Remember, we talked about master's degree being specific and specialized, right? So you don't just do master's degree for the sake of it. Master's degree meant for you to have a certain level of specialty in an advanced role or advanced responsibility or scope. So one of the most common Amazon roles are clinical nurse leaders or CNL, and then there's certification for that as well. Nurse administrators, right? Nurse educator. So that's one of my certificate, postgraduate certificate nurse educator. So I don't have to go back to school to do nurse educator. In fact, I'm eligible to sit down for a certified nurse educator exam, which I want to do very soon, but I'm busy with Aspire RN and next gen NCLEX. There's just so many demand for me to talk about next gen NCLEX. And of course, I'm focusing on my students as well to help them pass the NCLEX. Public health nurse, nurse informaticist. This is one of those booming roles because there's so many needs for nurses that are, technologically savvy, because we have big data now. We have data analysis or data coding and so many stuff. Like most of our jobs here in the US are connected to information technology, which makes use of technology like computers and computer applications and web designs and web applications and APIs and so many things like that. So nurse informaticist is one of those roles, and they have so much needs. All right. Now they're hiring chief clinical informaticist or chief information officer, CIO, because you know how information technology is very important in businesses right now. And these are nurses with MSNs in nurse informaticists. And then we have the APRN roles. APRNs are divided into four, or advanced practice registered nurses. And APRNs are licensed with a second license we call APRN. So you're not only an RN, you're also an APRN, right? So you drop the RN title because now you can use APRN, which means you're both an RN and advanced practice RN. Advanced practice RNs are divided into four roles. The certified nurse practitioner, and certified nurse practitioners have specialties following the medical specialties, just like with the physician, because we work with physician, we're non-physician providers. We prescribe, we can work in the hospital, we can work in the ER, we are providers, right? So something like that. So we have, for example, we have family nurse practitioner like myself. I could also do emergency nurse practitioner. There's pediatric nurse practitioner. There's women's health nurse practitioner. There's psych nurse practitioner, cardiovascular nurse practitioner, adult gerontology, acute care nurse practitioner, adult gerontology, primary care nurse practitioner, pediatric primary care nurse practitioner, so many roles. All right, oncology nurse practitioner, nephrology nurse practitioner, and pulmonology nurse practitioner, critical care nurse practitioner, so many other specialties. And then we have certified registered nurse anesthetist, right? One of the booming roles, CRNAs, right? CRNAs are the top growth, or right, highest paid nurse specialty. We're going to talk about that later. Hang on with me. And we have certified nurse midwives. This is APRN, right? Of course, in the absence of physician, or we have still have physician shortage, nurse midwives can deliver babies, all right? And that's an APRN role. I know some of the people in the Philippines are both registered as a nurse and a midwife. You cannot practice the midwife part. You have to have a master's degree designation, sit down for the boards, pass the midwife exam here, and take your licensure or apply for licensure as an APRN. If you practice your midwife status from the Philippines here in the US, you're out of scope and they can sue you and they can cancel your RN license too because you're working out of scope. Remember, here in the United States, to prevent lawsuits, it's all about you working within your scope. You want more scope, you want advanced scope, you want to go back to school for that and follow the guidelines. All right. So in that case, you have to have your APRN license and do another school. All right. There is a certified nephrology nurse practitioner and they work with nephrology doctors. Yes. All right. And they function as just like how nephrology physicians would work. All right. But yep, sorry about that. I needed my coffee. And then we have clinical nurse specialists. Clinical nurse specialists are now functioning like nurse practitioners. So some states have CNS and clinical nurse practitioners, all right, or certified nurse practitioners. So clinical nurse specialists can also have designation like diabetic clinical nurse specialist or endocrine clinical nurse specialist. You know what I mean? So it's like endocrinology. So they can also prescribe medications in certain states, but they're the nurse specialists, more advanced roles. They can perform advanced tasks or advanced procedures that nurses are not allowed to do because of the scope of practice. All right. So those are the Amazon roles. Anything, guys, that you are interested with, what you guys think you like. All right. So that's what I did. When I came to the States, I list down all the roles first. And I was like, what do I want here? I already have my MAN, Master's of Arts in Nursing in the Philippines. And my focus there is disaster and emergency management. I could have worked in FEMA or the Disaster Management Council here in the States. But what do I want? I said I want to be an expert in practice role. So I have to do the APRN route, which is another license for me and another school, right? So I went straight for a doctorate degree that just does that. I don't have to do postmasters. I go straight and I hit 3 birds in 1 stone. All right. How about this? Other related masters. You don't have to have masters in nursing. You could have MBA, you could have MPH, you could have MHA or MPA, depending on job prospects and career progression that you want. Some people want to work for the government, like CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. You might need public administration or public health designation there, right? Some wants to work as a nurse executive, like a CNO, Chief Nurse Officer, Assistant Chief Nurse Officer, Nursing Supervisor, Safety and Infection Control Director, Quality Director, Risk Management Director, and these are nurses. You could have health administration, right? Or you could be in the business side. You can be a business administration, right? Did you there was a question in Facebook, did you fund your education and tuition fee yourself? We're going to talk about that later, okay? I would have another slide for that. We're going to talk about that later, okay? All right. And hello, somebody says I'm from the Philippines. I couldn't see the name because I could not pull out the comments here. But I will soon, all right? Anyway, let's continue, guys. Any questions so far about the master's degree? Because we're going to move on to the doctorate degree. All right, let's talk about the doctorate degrees here in the US. I've only picked the 4 stuff that are 4 different doctorate designations appropriate for the roles that we have here right now. There are many variations of doctorate degrees in the past, but we're trying to trim them down so we can focus more on a few than too many, right? So of course, the longest type of doctorate degree that's been there for many, many, many years is PhD, or Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing. A PhD prepares you to be an expert in nursing research and nursing science. So you are an academician. you are a researcher, you are a nursing scientist who likes to do research and put out new theories or study a new management if it's working or not, or dispute or refute other studies that were done in the past. So you are this type of a doctorate. So it's academic based or research based. Doctor of Nursing Science is similar to PhD. It trains you to become a nursing scientist, a nursing researcher, an expert in nursing research or nursing science. So the goal of nursing researchers, PhDs and DNS, is to generate new ideas, new thoughts, refute old ideas or new old thoughts, old managements. So their goal is to continuously check, are we still doing evidence-based nursing? Are we still doing things that are evidence based, or maybe this management is no longer working? Like now in cardiac arrest, they say, okay, if it's a systole, we can now put a patient in a different position to do CPR. That's evidence based. Somebody did the research for that, right? There are many evidence based procedures now that we've changed. Whenever I teach my nurses classes and I ask them something, they would still know something from the past that are no longer being done here in the US, because we keep changing the evidence-based nursing. That's what PhDs and DNS do. They regularly check and make sure that we're updated, new ideas, refute or change old ideas, right? DNPs, that's my degree, Doctor of Nursing Practice, prepares you to be an expert in the nursing practice. Now, here comes the roles again, because you can be a DNP in nursing leadership, just like the MSN, it's the same roles. DNP in nursing administration, DNP in nursing education, DNP in nurse practitioner, DNP in as a nurse midwife, DNP as a clinical nurse specialist, DNP as a nurse informaticist. So these are practice roles. It trains you to become an expert. I'm sorry about that. It trains you to become an expert in your nursing practice. That's guideline formation. We're trained to do that. Quality improvement guideline formation. And we do translational evidence, which means we want to be able to get those research done by our PhDs and DNS and convert them, repackage them to make a new guideline. So we're the evidence-based practitioners, right? So the purpose of being a DNP is to prepare you to become a nursing practice expert, nursing practice leader. So that's my level of education, and also helps me with my NCLEX classes, because we're preparing nurses to become, to become ready for clinical practice. And now with the next gen NCLEX, we prepare them for case studies and clinical scenarios as well. That's where my expertise comes in, because as a clinical nursing expert, as a nurse practitioner as well, I have a breadth and depth of knowledge to train these nurses to pass the NCLEX using the case studies. All right. So we're going from theory down to evidence-based medicine, and that's where I'm expert with. And DNAP, DNAP is expert in nurse anesthesia. So nurse anesthesia have moved on from master's degree. After 2022, they stopped offering master's degree anymore. After that, they will all nurse anesthesia students are going to take doctorate degree. So there's no more master's degree in CRNA. They now do DNAP, which is Doctor of Nursing Anesthesia Practice. So they're experts in nurse anesthesia. These are the CRNAs. They do not do MSN anymore. Somebody asked me, Michiko, could DNP still propel your career in nurse academy? Definitely. You can do professional practice as a professor. You can still be a full-time professor in professional practice. So, for example, they're looking for a nurse practitioner. What's this? Instructor, faculty member, associate professor, All right. So that's you. All right. Because that's your designation. So here in the States, it's all about roles. Okay. You cannot assume a role that you're not trained in, educated in, or not licensed with. So while a PhD doctor could probably teach a nurse practitioner, they could not teach nurses on the clinical side, right? Nurse practitioner side. So that's why, yes, you can still be a professor, professional practice. You're a practice based doctorate or practice based faculty member. Yes, there's a lot of roles, right? So that's why you pick your role and then you stick to that. That's why when you advance in your nursing career, in your, I'm sorry, in your academic um, progress or pathway, you choose your specialty and you stick to that specialty. That way you become expert. It's better to become expert of one or two versus being generalist and knowing 15 things, right? So that makes you an expert because your focus and niche is narrow and very specific, right? Like for me, because of my 15 years of experience in teaching NCLEX, and then combined with that, my emergency medicine experience, family medicine experience, that makes me specialized with my narrowed to clinical education, nurse educator for NCLEX, and also with family and emergency medicine. So we all develop our own specialty eventually. That's what your advanced degrees are for. Okay. Now, resources. Where can I find resources? Where can I start if I want to look for schools? I'm still over here in Africa or here in Middle East or here in Europe, but I'm moving to the US in the next 5 years. I want to start my research now. Good. All right. That's what I did before I came to the US. That's why as soon as I stepped here in the US, as soon as I arrived in the immigration and got past it, and I'm now a green card holder in the America on day one, I was like, okay, we're now ready to fulfill my dream, right? So I already have game plan, right? I already have game plan. I already have my goals. I wrote it down. I know my trajectory. I know my timeline, all right? Now's the best time to do your research, okay? I like the US News and World Report, usnews.com. They have free stuff, they have paid stuff, but they compare schools head to head. They have rankings. It's a very good, legitimate website. All right, millennials and Gen Zs would call it legitimate website. That's what we use to verify schools. It will give you an overview of how much the tuition is, what's the rank of the schools, how many students are in the schools, what programs do these schools offer, right? And I also tell nurses to check the locality. I prefer that you guys go to school within your same locality or your same state. That way, it's not hard if you're doing hybrid like me. I did hybrid where I go online and then I go to school. I go online and go to school. I spend a lot of money traveling, but I mean, I'm fine with it. All right, because my school is in Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, and I'm located in Edinburgh. So I have to fly all the time to go to school, which is fine with me. I could have also driven for 12 hours. I just didn't want to do that. All right. But like I said, you can do your I'm sorry about that. You can check your local schools. That way, if you can just drive 5 minutes to the schools, much better. Especially that some other schools do not have online or hybrid option. You have to be in the school every time you do your classes. All right. So every time you do your classes. All right. Hold on. Something happened to my background screen. All right. Let me check that real quick. All right. All right. And then, of course, student loans and grants. You can do federal student aid by going to, I'm sorry, I don't think it's FAFSA.gov. It should be studentaid.gov. This is a federal program, very low loan rate, all right? Very low interest rate, if you say that. And it's backed by federal government. So, during COVID, they stopped all payments for student loans and they said zero interest rate. You cannot charge students for interest during COVID. So something like that. It's backed by federal guarantee. Okay. You still need to pay it because it's a loan, but it's backed by federal guarantee. All right. And graduate nurses or graduate degrees can get student loans. Or you can also get grants and forgiveness programs. And the one that I like to tell nurses is go to HRSA, Health Resource and Services Administration. This department or administration is under Health and Human Services or Department of Health and Human Services. And they have a lot of federal funding, grants, scholarships and forgiveness programs. Or you can actually fight for scholarships too. There's a lot of scholarships for immigrants, for minorities, for people of color like us. So there's a lot of scholarships as well. All right. So with me, I took the what we call Nurse Faculty Loan Program, NFLP. That's one of the fundings offered by my school, granted by the government. So each school would have had grants from the government. Not all schools would have grants. So that's also one thing that you look at. You do not only look at what the schools are offering, all right? If those schedules for the classes match your goal, but also, do they have funding from the federal government? Is it federal government backed? Are they going to give you student loans, or do they want you to pay in cash? I would not want to be paying in cash. All right. But yeah, so I do the nurse faculty loan program, and they pay certain amount of my school for every year that I work as a faculty nurse. All right. So eventually, after 4 years, they would have paid out 85% of my tuition fee tax free, and I'm only gonna pay back 15%. All right. So it's a government program, very good program. It's a forgiveness program, but service oriented. So there are many things like that where if you work 2 years as a nurse practitioner, we're gonna pay 50% of your student loans. If it's 40,000, we're gonna pay 20,000. If it's 100,000, we're gonna pay 50,000, right? But I you can just guys check TCU, Texas Christian University, and you can check the tuition there. But it's a very expensive school, one of the most expensive in the United States. Okay, my tuition there without the government grant, and I didn't pay anything. In fact, the student loan are not even appearing on my credit report because it's not listed under me. It's listed under the government. All right, the government will just hold me accountable if I don't do my service. Right. To cut it short, it's not even listed in my account as a student loan. So if you check my credit report, I don't have student loan because I have a grant from the United States government, right? But the tuition in TCU is $40,000 a year, $30,000 to $40,000 a year, right? $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Somebody asked this question, and I think this is very important. Will I stop working when I go to school? Just in case I go the route of CRNA, what is the required years of experience? LaBelle, let me tell you one thing, all right? The strictest specialty role for nurses is CRNA, all right? You have to stay in school for 2 to 3 years, some of them 4 years, okay? They will make you sign a contract that says you cannot be working. If they see you working, they're going to kick you out of school. And when they kick you out of CRNA, they put you in a permanent record. You're not going to be able to enroll in any CRNA schools in the United States. That's a bad thing here in the States, right? Because the nursing community, if you get kicked out from one program, that's in your permanent record. Other schools might have a hard time accepting you. All right. So no, CRNA is full time. Nurse practitioner is part time. I was able to do full time job while I was doing full time load in my DNP, FNP. But CRNA, no, they require you to be 100% in school. So that's one thing that I thought about. Do I want to be a CRNA? Can I afford to be not working for 2 to 3 years, right? But I have family. I'm a breadwinner, so I can't do that. So I cannot do the CRNA route just because of the level of what's this the time that I could not work, because that's 2 to 3 years lost income. So for me, if I'm earning 100 to 150,000 a year, that's about 300 to 450,000 loss of income in 3 years, which I think I could make anyway, even if I'm not CRNA, right? So something like that. Think about it. But for some people, it makes sense. They're young, right? And they could do CRNA. Go for it. For CRNA, check the requirements per school. Again, start with U.S. News and World Report. It details your requirements. You must have, you know, academic schools or graduate schools are very competitive. You have to submit your essay of why you want to do your school. I submitted a 2-page essay. I probably could read it to you guys one of these days. I should have read it today, right? But anyway, to cut it short, guys, it's what's this? It's full-time school, and you have to have at least 2 years ICU experience. All right, 2 years ICU in the United States. All right, you're very strict with that. Anyway, 96 specialties. I'm running out of time. I'm having a good time explaining academics here. I should have made this a separate show. But according to Johnson's & Johnson's, nursing.jnj.com, there are currently 96 specialties for nurses. That includes APRNs. 96 specialties and counting, all right? So if you think, I don't like medical surgical nursing, I'm going to try ER. Oh, I don't like ER. Let me try skilled nursing facility. Oh, I don't like it. Guys, don't worry. You have 96 options to choose from, all right? So go to nursing.jnj.com, start reading, and start figuring out what role you want to take. And of course, you also want to check how much are these specialties earning, right? So now, there are top 5 RN employments here in the United States. The top 5, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, are medical, surgical, hospitals. These are employment settings. Hospitals. Second is offices of doctors. Third are home health care services. Fourth are outpatient care centers. And the fifth are nursing care facilities. So you see, guys, 1.7 million. There are about 3.1 million nurses here in the United States right now. 3.1 million. And we still need more. We need 200,000 nurses every year. And they said by 2031, there will be 1 million nurses that will be retiring. There will be 15 million, I think, more people above 55 that would need geriatric care, and they might be in the hospital. So we need you guys, right? But 1.7 million, more than half of nurses in the United States work in hospitals. And that's where we make the most money, all right? Hospitals. Check my TikTok. And one of the posts I did in the past, I said, we Medscape just released the 2022 nursing pay scale report, all right? So watch my TikTok and it's there. Top 5 states with the highest RN employment. You might be interested to know what states have a lot of jobs for nurses. California being the top destination for many nurses, both Americans and immigrant nurses. So if you guys are an immigrant nurse and you want to go to California, let me tell you this. You're not only competing with other immigrant nurses, you're also competing with 100 to 200,000 nurses that are passing the NCLEX every year, okay? So everybody wants to go to California, but there might only be one spot and there would be 500 nurses applying. Try to look in other states first, all right? Because otherwise it's just going to back you up waiting for an offer from California when your process could be expediting already and you're headed to the United States. And after 2 years, you can fly to California after you finish your contract, right? Texas, New York, Florida, Pennsylvania, these are the states with the highest nursing employment for RNs, both U.S. side and immigrants. Top 5 highest paying states. I get this question a lot, but again, highest paying is subjective, all right? Check the cost of living as well. You go to California, Hawaii, I've practiced in both those states, Oregon, District of Columbia, and Alaska, all right? So these are the top highest paying states for RNs. You might want to try that as well. Alrighty? And how about this? Top highest paying, I have another meeting. I'm sorry, guys, I need to wrap up. Top highest paying cities for RNs. Look, do you guys see something? Is there a pattern in the top 5 highest paying big cities for RNs? Do you guys find something interesting here? In fact, the top 10 are all Californian cities. The top 5 highest paying cities in the United States, right? We already know that the top 1 is California, but the top 5 cities are also Californian cities, all right? So like, for example, the Bay Area, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, and San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward, these are all in the Bay Area in California. They earn about 150,000 a year. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, I want to sneeze. I'm sorry, guys. Something's causing me allergy today. All right, sorry about that. See, I turned red. But I know many nurses are earning more than this, especially my best friend in California, Mr. Marvin Delphine. So they're going to be like, that's too little. Okay, that's too little. All right. Vallejo, Santa Rosa, Napa, California, earning about the same. Okay. So high paying cities, that might be one of your destination of choice. Median wage per license. Median wage is the annual license. We're talking about annual. Here in the States, when we talk about salary, we either talk about hourly or annual. We don't talk about monthly because monthly wages can change depending on how much time you put into work. All right, you see the nurse anesthetists, CRNA, are the top grosser, highest paid nursing specialty. All right, so that's about 167,000 median salary. But I've heard CRNA is earning $300,000, $250,000 a year, $400,000 a year in rural areas where they need anesthetists. Nurse practitioners are about 107,000 median wage across the board all over the United States. But I've heard nurse practitioners making 120, 160, 150, 200, $300,000. The highest paid nurse practitioner specialty is Psych NP because of the need. It's law of supply and demand. Nurse midwives are earning as much, about 103. This is median. Again, this is median. There are people earning more than this or lower than this. And median salary in the US for 2021, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics for RNs, is 71,000. If you become a nurse educator, I think that puts you between 80 to 100,000. If you become a nurse leader, nursing administrator, that puts you around 80 to 100,000. So the best way to do is to check these sources, job sites like Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, LinkedIn.com, and Facebook groups. You can see the job offers there for nurses, for nurse educators, right? You know what I like about Indeed and Glassdoor? It also tells you how much they're earning in a year. So it's going to compare to you like, okay, if you take this role, how much are the other nurses taking this role are earning? It's going to give you a ballpark or a baseline, right? So for example, if you're going to take this job, you need to make at least 80 to 100,000 because that's what the nurses taking this role are earning. Right? So go try that, Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, LinkedIn.com. Try, for example, your job overview, right? In the next 5 years is CRNA. I want to be a CRNA in, say, for example, Memphis, Tennessee. Click that area and you can see the jobs. You can see the job outlook. How many jobs are there? What are the requirements? That's what I did before. I want to be an emergency nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner. First thing I checked is, what are the requirements? Do they need me to do this, to do that? And that's what I'm going to do. All right. You got it, guys? And I think that's my last slide for today. I've had a really great time explaining to you guys all these things. I could go on and go on to talk about many other interesting specialties. I've read one research last night back in 2021 that said parish nursing, it's a specialty, huh? To work in a parish is one of those in-demand specialties now in rural America. So many options to choose from. Imagine 96 specialties to choose from. So you don't have to be stuck in your specialty right now. You can try other specialties once you get here to the United States. And that's what I love about United States. So many choices, so many options. Like I say, the sky is the limit. The only thing that's limiting you is yourself. All right. So guys, thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul show today. I really appreciate your participation. I really appreciate that you guys are taking time to listen and join my show. Thank you for supporting Dr. Nurse Paul. We're going to do more exciting things in the following months. I'm trying myself. So we're going to talk about so many other things, so many exciting things. But please keep following me. All right. And make sure that you have your notifications on for my page. That way, when we put up those announcements about my upcoming shows, you're going to see those dates and time, and it's going to notify you once I go live. All right. Thank you guys for supporting Dr. Nurse Paul. If you have questions about NCLEX preparation, please do reach out to me in my Facebook page, social media pages, and with my team, Aspire RN. Thank you, Aspire RN, for hosting this show. Thank you, guys. And I had a great time with you guys today. All right. I'm going to see you in the next Dr. Nurse Paul show next Saturday, 8 a.m. Central Time. See y'all. Bye.
You have just watched the Dr. Nurse Paul show. Watch us live every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central U.S. Time. For more info about our future events, follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Dr. Nurse Paul on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next week.